The inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
Of all developed nations, the United States has the most unequal distribution of income, and we're surging toward even greater inequality. 1928 and 2007 become the peak years for income concentration. It looks like a suspension bridge.
Last year, we made $36,000.
I probably make $50,000 a year, working 70 hours a week.
The middle class is struggling.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. I'm Dan Hurley. This weekend, Americans celebrate Labor Day. The custom reaches back to 1882 when the Central Labor Union of New York City celebrated the first Monday in September with a parade of 10,000 workers followed by a picnic. That spread to other cities, and beginning in 1887 with Oregon, certain states began to declare state holidays, and in 1894 the federal government made the first Monday of September a national holiday. In 2013, workers in the United States find themselves not only in the aftermath of the Great Recession of 2008-2009, whose impact continues to depress the job market and wages, but also in the long cycle that economists refer to as the Great Divergence, reaching back to 1979, which has resulted in the greatest degree of income inequality in American history, the focus of Robert Reich's new documentary, which we just played a clip of. To discuss the condition of labor in Cincinnati, I am joined this morning by Doug Sizemore, the Executive Secretary and Treasurer of the Cincinnati AFL-CIO Central Labor Council. Mr. Sizemore's background is with Lodge 912 of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. The Cincinnati AFL-CIO Labor Council represents over 100,000 members of 128 local unions throughout Southwest Ohio. The council's stated goal is to improve the lives of working families, bring economic justice to the workplace, and social justice to our state and nation. Doug, welcome to Newsmakers on this Labor Day weekend.
Thanks, Dan, and thanks for having me on today.
Well, how would you evaluate the state of organized labor in Southwest Ohio, your area, Greater Cincinnati, in 2013, given the fact that the labor statistics show that in our area only about 13% of workers, salaried or wage workers, are organized? What would you say about the state of organized labor at this point?
Well, I'd say the state of organized labor is we're strong and sticking together. We've been through some battles over the last few years. You're familiar with 2011 when we went through the fight on Senate Bill 5 and with labor and the community and everyone sticking together, we were able to defeat Senate Bill 5 on that attack on collective bargaining rights on public employees here, which that in itself brought everybody even closer together. So with labor, as far as being united and really strong together here, we've got challenges. We know with the economy, Wall Street's booming right now, Main Street's still hurting. We got work to do on making sure that there's more job creation, investment in jobs.
You know, in the public worker sector, probably 4 times as many in public workers, over 35%, are members of unions, as opposed to the private sector, which is about 6.5%. Why is it that labor has such a difficult time in the early 21st century organizing workers in private industry and private workplaces?
With organizing, there's been such a concerted effort and to fight when people try to get their voice. People want to have a voice in the workplace, and they attempt to have a union in their workplace, and they face many times they're harassed, they're fought with everything that the company will get to keep them from having a voice. There are companies that specialize in being brought into companies to fight union organizing. But it's happening. You're seeing in the fast food industry right now, people are standing up saying we need a voice. You know, we know that people can't make a sustainable living in those jobs. We're seeing a lot of that happening right now. People are standing up in the retail sector. You know, with what's going on with Walmart and all the actions that the workers at Walmart are starting to take right now. People are getting that voice, and when people stand together, they can make it happen.
You know, what you're pointing to is something like the fast food industry, the retail, which is where more and more of our economy is going. You come out of a manufacturing background,
yes.
Machinist background. What's happening in that manufacturing area? Because there's a lot of talk about the recovery of American manufacturing in terms of productivity, in terms of output. It is still very strong. But what's happening in terms of workers in that sector?
We have the most skilled workforce here in the United States. We lost some manufacturing, you know, years ago. We're starting to see some of that come back. One of the things we're focusing on is training in advanced manufacturing, and we're working together with groups here, with employers and, you know, across the board here on making sure that people have the training in advanced manufacturing for the new phase of manufacturing that's coming through. We're seeing jobs actually come back. So we're working diligently on not only making sure that people have the training for the advanced manufacturing, but they also understand that they can make a good living and getting into that field with the younger folks.
What would you tell younger people if they want to go into manufacturing? What is it they have to do today to be prepared to have a good job that is sustainable over a long period of time and earn a good living? What does it take to be a manufacturing worker today?
Well, I'd say look into it and you know, look at your school and see. We're working right now with CPS and working on possibly getting certified production technician training right there in the high school. So when the kids come out of school, they'll be ready to jump right into jobs, because employers are looking through MSSC. It's called Manufacturing Skills Standards Certification. That's a national certification, the CPT. Many employers look for that, and we've been working with our partners on being sure that people get that. So we're working to try to help get people the skills and the training they need. We're also making sure that employers know on these dislocations, when people get laid off out of these sectors, if something happens there, that the people coming out by doing this CPT, the Certified Production Technician, people are coming out with those skills. But what that does, it gives them the credentials for the employer to see that they can bring them right in.
You're saying CPS. Are you also working with places like Great Oaks or Butler Tech, Cincinnati State? Are those sorts of schools working with you to make sure that people come out? Because part of this, I don't know what's involved exactly in the certification, but is part of that having some familiarity and comfort level with computer operation and machines that are driven by computers?
Yeah, there's just different basics on it, from safety, you know, the math and different things like that, where people test out and pre-qualify to get in it. So we've worked with Cincinnati State on the programs. We've got college credits that they'll qualify for if they want to go on into Cincinnati State.
You know, you were mentioning before the action that took place this past week, or I guess it's over the recent weeks, on around fast food restaurants. Realistically, what's your evaluation of the likelihood of significant success there, of workers being able to organize and to actually drive up their wages?
I think this is how it starts. by people standing up, showing that there's an issue. I mean, and just building momentum from there and making change. I mean, that's how everything starts. It starts at the grassroots. And with people standing up and bringing it to light, you know, what their situations are, what their family situations are, you know, people having to work two or three jobs. You know, when that gets out there and people are standing up and it's being talked about, the dialogue will create change.
On the other side, because the union's very involved politically, unions are very involved politically, there is in Ohio, as there are in many states right now, some efforts at passing right-to-work laws which would undermine further the ability of unions either in the public sector or in the private sector. There's a couple of different bills that being talked about, presented up in Columbus. I know what your opinion of those would be.
Yeah.
What's the Labor Council, what's the AFL-CIO doing about that sort of challenge?
Well, education is the main thing. Getting the truth and the facts out about what so-called right to work is how we phrase it, because it's not right to work. It's totally misleading when they came up with that term. It takes away the rights of workers to be able to effectively have representation in their workplace. And so we've done tremendous member education, the public, just getting people to totally understand what right to work, so-called right to work is. We've got statistics that show, you know, that you know, the average wage is you know, over $1,500 less. Household, the median household income is over $6,000 less in right-to-work states. Fewer people have health care coverage in right-to-work states. More people live in poverty in right-to-work states. Even the infant mortality rate is higher in right-to-work states. And workplace deaths are 36% higher in right-to-work states. So when you don't have a voice and there's nobody there to advocate for all these things, for wages, benefits, working conditions, and that voice gets weakened or silenced, that's what happens. And so we get the word out that, you know, when we're out advocating for these things and how all these things came about, may have been the unions in the forefront, but it was for all workers, not just union members.
Well, and that is really a factor, that unions where they do exist end up, in effect, speaking for all workers, whether they're part of the organization or not. This is a weekend, we're taping this on Friday morning. Cincinnati, AFL-CIO has, if I understand it right, the largest picnic, labor picnic in the United States. Is that right?
That's
so
right.
Where are you going to be on Monday? Tell me a little bit of why that picnic is important to you.
Well, Monday we'll be at Coney Island, and we do this every year. We usually have 15 to 20,000 people out there at our picnic. Just a long history there. And it's a day where just working families get together, the community gets together, and just celebrate the work that we all do throughout the year and honor that work and just enjoy time with our families and our friends. And it's really a great event, and I encourage anyone to come out. It's open to the public.
Which is interesting because that's in the spirit going all the way back to 1882, a parade and then a picnic, and people just getting together and being together. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on Labor Day this year, and look to have you come back.
Thanks.
So. The gas attack purportedly unleashed by the Syrian government on the citizens living in the suburbs of Damascus on August the 21st has forced the American government to clarify what it is willing and compelled to do in the face of the seemingly endless carnage. Welcome back. I am joined this morning by two people who were born in Syria, Ashraf Trabulsi a native of Home, Syria. Mr. Trabulsi earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Damascus and a doctoral degree, I want to point that out, that you'll see why, in pharmaceutical sciences at the University of Kentucky. We know where that is. Mr. Trabulsi works as a senior scientist and technical team leader at Procter & Gamble. He serves as the president of the Syrian American Foundation. Mr. Trabulsi last joined us on Newsmakers 13 months ago. And Samir Ataya, a medical doctor born in Syria. He works here in the United States, and he still has family in Syria, including a sister who lives near the gas attacks. Thank you for being here this morning, both of you. Thank you very much. What have you been able to learn from your family back in Damascus? I know communications isn't real easy. What's your observation? What's going on there?
First of all, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
I was actually on the phone like close to 2:30 a.m. Like it was 2:30 a.m. in Syria, and I was on the phone with my sister, and she said to me, I just ducked down because I heard like a sound of a strange rocket. I would just finish the conversation, and an hour later she called me back, and she's in tears and freaking out and complete chaos over there, and saying it was a chemical attack. So what should I do? And I just based on what I read about it, and gave them some tips of what to do, and go up to the top floors and to the smallest room with no windows, and make sure that all the windows are closed, and and they did that.
And why do you go to the top floor? Because the gas sinks?
Because the gas sinks, and the gas that they send is like a Syrian gas, and sinks lasts for about like half an hour, except if it goes on your skin, could last up to 18 hours, the effect of it. So, and unfortunately, people over there, they were not well educated about this issue. So what they ended up going actually to the basements. So because 2:30 a.m. everybody is asleep, so a lot of people, they just died, and they really didn't know why they died. I mean, the Syrian, what happens, you get a lot of secretions that will block the airways, the tubes in your lungs, and you just suffocate until you die. And that what happened to most of the kids, and even the women and the elderly that they were in the houses. So they ended up going down instead of going up, which made the casualties more. And if you look at it, when you go to the field hospitals over there, they're really not very equipped at all, and they just ended up like spraying water on them, or because they didn't know what to do, and you're just watching like 2 years old or 1 year old just dying in front of your eyes,
right.
And you're just helpless. There's nothing that you can do. You can't. They don't have like as a physician, they don't have like a tubes to put them on a ventilator. They don't have nothing.
Well, the area where the attack happened has been under siege now for the past 8 months. Completely cut off from all supplies.
I called it, because it's referred to as the suburbs of Damascus. How far outside the center of the city?
It's a few miles. It's not, it's less than 10 miles from the center
Less than
of
10
Damascus.
miles. Okay,
Yeah,
so it really is close.
Yeah. It is. It's like if you're talking about Westchester and Mason and Cincinnati. It's the same metro area. It's not like a rural area. It's the metro area, same metro area.
Just a 5 minutes driving. Yeah, honestly.
It's been under constant siege for the last 8 months, and so no medical supplies, nothing. Food and water is actually very scarce also, and basics like atropine injection, which was important for this kind of injuries, they didn't have enough of that.
There's a lot of personal connections for you too, family, but also your wife has made multiple trips, as I understand it, and is there, not in Syria itself, but in Turkey, trying to help out. Is that correct?
My wife is currently running an office at the border with Turkey for the Union of Syrian Medical Relief Organizations. Their job, initially they started working with the refugees and so on, but right now they are more working on providing medical supplies and medical equipment, and setting up hospitals and primary health care points in the area that the government abandoned and left it without any health care facilities whatsoever. So they tried to work with government agencies, non-governmental agencies, like with the European Union, to get funds so they could at least provide the minimum that they can do.
we're taping this on Friday morning. This doesn't air until Sunday, and don't know what's going to happen between now and Sunday morning. The last time you were on Newsmakers, I asked you the question, what did you want the United States to do? One thing you were clear about, you said you didn't want the United States to militarily intervene.
Yes.
What do you want the United States to do right now?
Unfortunately, the response for what's happening in Syria should have been happening a year ago, or maybe more than a year ago. What needed to happen, there need to be a very strong international community pressure on Assad to stop this carnage through the United Nations and the Security Council. There need to be an effort to stop the flow of arms to Assad forces from Russia, China, Iran, which enables him to do what he is doing, and to allow the flow of arms to the opposition, to at least to even the battlefield, to allow them to defend themselves, not necessarily to give them, planes and tanks and so on, but not, just like anti-tank missiles, anti-airplane missiles, just to allow them to defend themselves. And that didn't happen.
Yeah. What about right now? What do you, sort of it looks like what's on the table right now is some sort of attack at some level, whether it's symbolic or more than that, of missile attack on certain targets. Do you want that to happen? Do you think that's a wise thing?
So, to tell you the truth, as just a regular civilian, I really don't know what's the best solution. All I know that something needs to happen to end this tragedy. Like 1,300 people died. I think next time it's going to be larger if nobody does anything.
The risk, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The risk in my mind is if they go and do a targeted attack, it's going to embolden him. And if there's no follow-up, they're going to embolden Assad. It's going to strengthen him, because basically this is going to be a slap. And then you have a free hand to do whatever you want. So unless there is a concerted effort to end him and to end whatever crimes he's committing, then that's not going to be a solution.
So is that concerted effort, in your mind, does it have to now be, if we gotten to the point where it has to be military, and that means it's not just a one-time symbolic attack?
I think he's forcing the international community to do that, unfortunately. I don't know if there's, what other ways, I think they tried all avenues, and none of them so far is working.
I think both of you mentioned the United Nations, but the United Nations Security Council is frozen in this situation because of Russia and China both vetoing, making it very clear they'll veto any concerted action.
I think the United States, with its leadership position in the world, can formulate an alliance with like-minded states and like-minded powers in the region to force him and force those forces that are helping him to abandon him, basically. There is a lot of leverage that the United States have and the Gulf states have that they could utilize to pressure Iran, to pressure Russia, to stop this, because without them, he's done.
Go ahead.
Because I think the other thing is if you kill 1,300 and there's no accountability, I think the chance of other dictators around the world will do it, because they know that somebody else did it and nobody did anything. Mm-hmm. And
I would qualify this as it should have fallen under never again. We've said that in Bosnia, we've said that in Rwanda, and it's happening again, unfortunately, in the 21st century, and it should never have happened.
Mm-hmm. Do you expect the United States to actually do anything? The United States government to do anything? That's different than what they should do. Do you actually expect us to do something?
At this point, I'm doubtful.
You're doubtful.
I'm getting paranoid. We've been in this cycle so many times in the past 2.5 years, and every time we get excited, this will end, and then, we go down again, and then somebody else will, in the media will say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and now it's the time, and then it goes down again, and then more people getting killed, and more destruction. And
the first sign is probably the British Parliament voting down the resolution.
Which happened yesterday. We're on Friday. There's so much more here to talk to. I wish I had more time. We'll give you back. To learn more about the Syrian American Foundation, check out their website at http://syrian-american.org. And you can find out a lot more information and find out how to get in touch with the organization. Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women working to shape our community and the world for a future that is much better. Thank you. Have a